Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My apologies for those of you who may have waited for the 6 o'clock discussion and missed it. Tonight, I would like to concentrate to focus specifically on the ongoing Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3 outreach programs that are taking place to consult the people on their views on that amendment bill. Many people have asked many questions. I think the most important question that must be asked now is this a serious exercise to find the people's wishes, views on this amendment bill? Or is it just another one of those exercises just to tick a box so that the regime can turn around and say, yes, we consulted the people? My honest opinion is this is the latter. I just wanted to play a video clip of some of the views expressed on social media by the ordinary people out there.
Ini Sabena semugaro Mahare West, Sabena Jinue anovota Mahare West. Ndiri kuti no in total. Ndiri kurapa zvese zvakagazetwa on the basis dzekuti chekutanga hatina pakuvhotera vanhu kunochinja constitution yedu. Takavhotera vanhu kuti vatisei. So kusitisevhaiswa kuzi kuchinje constitution yatakanga tinayo. 2013 takaita people driven constitution on the basis dzekuti tibvise a longest house negotiated constitution. Munatoteerera. So nyaya iripo ndeyekuti tikawirirana tese 90 something percent kuti constitution ibe people driven. Then because zvinezvi pakuya constitution executive agreed. So we are saying no to it in total. Tobva ndazoenda pama issues arimo acho anoita kuti ndirambe ndichiramba. Anditi tinoti isusu takawirirana kuti president anofanirwa kuvhoterwa kaviri chete for 5 years. Handizvo pa2013 constitution. Takati pechipiri ndokunge avhoterwa akadiwa nevanhu. Handizvo. Ndiko zvinezvi tasvika pasituation yekuti because I think I need to be more political on this issue. But somehow where these issues are coming from, they are coming from unelectable people, which knows that they don't have the mandate from the people. Because if you go straight to the person, a minister of justice, akapendwa na president, nema powers awari mukonsider kwapenda fashi ma ministers as member of parliament. Akarambwa pama primary matatu akadzokorodzwa nevanhu. Saka iye ada kureplicate those issues kudzisa mutemo. Ndopati kuti akrete panezvo. Voice vanhu vasingavhotere chavanotinetsa vada kugara muofisi mahara. Ngati tuna election in 2028.
I'll stop it there. I don't think anyone can ever doubt that there is a lot of people out there who genuinely don't want this amendment to go through because they see the problems it's going to present. But that is not the big point here. The big point is, will their views behead. This is a regime that is renowned for going through processes just for the sake of going through them. And at the end of the day, it'll come up with whatever view they wanted. This is another way of saying ZANU-PF has been rigging elections. It is going to rig this amendment process. The regime has already made it very clear they want those amendments to go through. That's why they proposed them. And they're determined to see them implemented. So the question I ask again, is this a tick box exercise? Ben.
Whenever it has come down to democracy or the will of the people, ZANU-PF has always taken that right away from the people. I mean, let's be honest. ZANU-PF has been rigging every election since 1980. They have made it abundantly clear that it is them and no other. It is their way or the highway. And when they spoke and they said that this resolution would be passed no matter what, they meant it. So which means that what they have discussed and agreed upon will come into fulfillment, whether we like it or not. So to answer your question, I think this is just a mere formality. Let's just go along with the process, you know, and we have our result at the end of the day. I mean, ZANU-PF is not new at doing this. We have seen them take, 3 months to count 5 million votes when the people of Zimbabwe had said no to ZANU-PF. It took them 3 months plus just to count 5 million votes. And we can see right now with this whole exercise that ZANU-PF, those that are with ZANU-PF and are for the amendment, they are allowed to march in the streets, showing their solidarity with ZANU-PF. Yet you and I that may not want it, we are arrested on sight. So this just goes to show there is nothing to do with the will of the people. There is nothing to do with consultation. Whoever wants to do any consultation, we look at Tendai BT's offices. There were police that were blocking, the premises, or they say safeguarding the premises. We have seen the likes of Ibo Mandaza's offices being trashed. So where is the consultation in that? Where is the freedom in that? It has always been ZANU-PF's way or the highway.
Well, if the truth be said here, what this consultation exercise, the way it's being conducted, we've seen it happen before. During the writing of the 2013 Constitution, the regime carried out similar outreach programs where they went, parliamentary groups were sent out to the people, the various parts of the country, to consult people what they wanted in that constitution. It ended up being a circus. each side coached its own people, so that when they got to those meetings, they would speak whatever. If it's ZANU-PF, whatever ZANU-PF wanted. If it's the opposition, it whatever the opposition wanted. At the end of the day, if the truth be told, the 2013 Constitution was a waste of time. The outreach programs for those Constitution was a waste of time. And that is the truth. Because the Constitution itself, as much as some people want to believe that it is a democratic constitution, in fact, in reality, it's not. This is why Zimbabwe has failed to hold free, fair, and credible elections, because the Constitution, the 2013 Constitution, was not a democratic one. But that story has been said and discussed out countless times. The important point here is that we are going through a similar exercise. And the outcome of that exercise is not going to be any different. ZANU-PF would get its wish. It's up to ZANU-PF. If they seriously want this constitution to go through, it will go through. That is the argument. There are some people, notably Professor Lafmo Maduku and Tendai Biti, who have vowed that ZANU-PF will never get this amendment through. That is just wishful thinking. ZANU-PF has done a lot worse than bulldozing a constitutional amendment through. This is a regime that was responsible for the 1983 to 1987 Gukurawundi massacre. This is a regime that was responsible for the 2008 Operation Mafotera Papi, in which people were being punished for rejecting ZANU-PF. This is a regime that has been responsible for the 2017 military coup, etc., etc. I believe those are more serious challenges than rigging an amendment process. If the regime was able to rig those processes, rigging this amendment is a walk in the park. And what we are seeing here is exactly that.
In 2023, during our elections, before, during, and after our elections, we had observer missions come to look at how we conduct the process. And after our elections, they gave their reports. And in the reports, you find that all of them in one voice, they said our elections were flawed. They did not meet international standards, and they did not even meet up with the expectations of our own constitution. So ZANU-PF is not new at violating the constitution. ZANU-PF has always been violating the constitution. And I don't think now, it will deter them, or it will, shock them that they're actually going to violate. They are going to go at it and they will do it the ZANU PF way, my way or the highway or the fist. And it's already starting to show that they are already, thwarting that voice that is against. It is also very shocking that, like the gentleman that was speaking earlier, that he believes that he is voting for the president. He is voting for, in Zimbabwe. Especially when we actually know the reports and the contents of the reports that we were given by the observer missions. All of them, including our own homegrown SADC, condemned our election process, which was, they said, was so illegal, so flawed. So where this gentleman gets the whole idea that ZANU-PF is about to take away their right to vote. You never had the right to vote. ZANU-PF has made sure that they rig elections and that their candidate wins at all cost. So where is your vote that you're claiming that this constitutional amendment will violate? You never had. ZANU-PF since 1980 has denied the people of Zimbabwe a meaningful say in who governs the country.
I couldn't agree with you more. The problem with Zimbabweans is we are slow at learning. Since the 2013 election, David Coulthard and his fellow MDC people agreed that ZANU-PF was rigging the elections. The 2013 elections themselves were so flawed, so illegal. The only logical thing to do, by you to quote David Coulthard himself, was to withdraw. The only reason why he and his colleagues never withdraw is because of greed. They realized that ZANU-PF was giving away a few gravy train seats, and they each wanted their share of those seats. And that was the only reason they were participating in these flawed elections. This amendment process, if you think that ZANU-PF had a challenge in rigging the elections, that challenge is not there when it comes to amendment, pushing this process of the amendment. Right now, the regime is considering two options. Letting Parliament decide whether the amendment should go through without even a referendum. It can do so. What some people forget here is that law is not an exact science. It's not like maths or physics, where 1 + 1 is 2. That is true now. That will be true in 10 years' time. That was equally true 20 years ago, 20,000 years ago. Because those maths and physics are exact sciences. They don't change. The results do not change. Law is another matter. That is not an exact science. I mentioned earlier on the 2017 military coup. High Court Judge George Weshe ruled that that military coup was justified, legal, and constitutional. That was his judgment. The truth of the matter is, if that coup had failed, the same judge would have condemned all those involved in that military coup. They would have been sent to jail or worse. The same judge, the same law, the same case. That is the problem with law. More so when you are dealing with a judiciary that we all know is corrupt and is in the pockets of the ruling elite. So for somebody like Professor Lovemo Maduku saying there is no judge in Zimbabwe who is going to allow this constitution to go through, that is wishful thinking, to say the very least. This is a court with judges whom we know in the past have given outrageous judgments. There is no constitution on earth that allows a military coup. Zimbabwe's constitution is no exception. Justice Chiweshe's judgment, you don't have to be a lawyer to know that that was rubbish. The same judge will turn around and say this amendment bill, the procedure that has been carried out is fine. That is the problem. My final word on that issue is to remind Zimbabweans that by participating in a process that you have been told repeatedly that it is flawed, you are giving legitimacy to the process. You should not participate in a process in which the process you know is flawed. It's like signing a document without reading the small print. More so in this case, when you have been participating in flawed elections for the last 46 years, and you have been shortchanged again and again. Why do you keep on participating? That is exactly what we've been trying to argue here. This process is flawed, and it is utterly meaningless participating in it only to give it legitimacy. At the end of the day, by participating, you're only giving it legitimacy. This is what the Zimbabweans out there must think about. Thank you very much, those who were able to join us. And I hope you'll be able to join us again tomorrow, same time. And we'll be pursuing a similar subject on this platform. Thank you and good night.